It was just to wake up a little bit. So, hello everyone. I am Damiano, and I am a tutor of Master in Creative Arts Therapies in Padova, and I collaborate with Ines Testoni. She is a full professor of social psychology and University of Padova, and she is director of the Master in the End of, the End of Life and the Master in Creative Arts Therapies. So before we start, let's look at philosophy, because I always look at philosophy. And this is a fragment from the 7th century before Christ, and from Heraclitus. And he wrote that human beings are expected when they are dead by things they neither hope nor suppose. So we can go through an overview of this presentation. We will start with the introduction to Buto and to the sacred origins of dance. We will talk about Hijikata and Ono, the two founders of Buto dance, and we will see and we will read together how was their relationship with death. And we will talk about how Buto dance could be used for art therapy, and in particular for death education. And we will stress the importance of mimesis as a methodology of Buto dance therapy. And we will have some insights of the two exercises we did yesterday. And finally, a provocation of eternity, because I'm studying eternity with philosophy with the professor Ines Testoni, and we will see how we can change our perception of reality through philosophy and thinking about what eternity is. So let's start from the beginning, the very beginning of humanity itself, and talking about the shaman. This is the shaman in Lascaux cave, and so it's a drawing, actually, an original drawing. We can say that it's not bold to argue for the therapeutic value of dance. Along with the dance appears the figure of a shaman. And shaman, for me, is the original art therapist, and also the original doctor. And if we go to the centuries, we see that dance and ritual are particularly connected. So these are some names of the most famous dancers of the 20th century. And if we go read the name of their performances, it's very interesting, because for Václav Nijinsky is L'après-midi d'enfant, Ruth Saint-Denis, Radha, Mary Wigman, Hexentance, Martha Graham, Cave of the Heart. And let's focus on Japan now. And the origins of dance in Japan are told to us in the Kojiki. It is told that Amaterasu, that it is the most important goddess in the pantheon of Japan, she was upset by her brother Susanoo, and she hid in a cave. In a cave, the shaman, and also Plato. At that point, darkness fell, and it was always night. The anguish of death was rampant until Ame no Uzume, the first shamaness, started dancing on an upside-down vessel in front of the cave. And what she did, during the dance, she made a great racket, uncovered her breasts, and stripped herself naked to show her sex, causing hilarity among all of the gods present. Intrigued by the affair, thanks also to the help of other gods, Amaterasu came out of the cave, and at that moment restored the cosmic order. So dance has something to do with chaos, order, but also provocation, sex. And Buto dance, the darker aspects of dance spirituality, such as agitation and trance and demonic divine possession, are enthusiastically embraced by Buto dance, which flaunts the nikutai. Nikutai is a Japanese term. They have a lot of terms that we can translate as body, but nikutai is body of the flesh. So nothing spiritual, nothing beauty, but something that has in common with bones, flesh, blood. Buto dance aims to break the rules. So again, sex, we will see it through the performances that define the beautiful and the ugly, always overcoming dualism. So also when we think about dualism, it's life and death, male and female, good and bad, trauma and healing. Overcoming dualism with a strong subversive charge. We also find, not only in Japan, but also in our culture in Europe, because Tatsumi Jikata, that is the founder, read about Nietzsche, Artaud, and Jean Genet. So, catharsis and the obscene were on the scene during Kinjiki, the first performance of Buto dance in 1959. The performance unsettles the audience by the darkness of the scene. This is a picture of the actual performance. And there is Yoshito Ono, one of my masters, and Tatsumi Jikata. The nudity of the bodies, the ritual offering of a chicken, which at one point seems to be choked between Yoshito Ono's legs. But the scene is so dark, you cannot see it. And the staging of a homosexual encounter between two dancers in 1959 in Japan. At the staging, okay, and probably inspired more than the character of Divine, of Jean Genet, romance, Notre Dame de Fleurs, than the name of the performance that is Kinjiki, that comes from one of the romances of Yukio Mishima. And so, according to a critic, Go Danario, the dance proposed by Tatsumi Jikata seeks catharsis through the performance of the obscene, the choking of the chicken, and the homoerotic intercourse. Remember the ritual of Ame no Uzume, revealing the sex and saving the world, making hilarity through dance, and passing through the obscene, where all is death. That comes light and life again. So let's read something that Tatsumi Jikata wrote. I may not know death, but it knows me. I often say that I have a sister living inside my body. When I am absorbed in creating a booth of work, she plucks the darkness from my mother and eats more than is needed. When she stands up inside my body, I unthinkingly sit down. For me to fall is her to fall. She is my teacher. A dead person is my Buto teacher. You've got to cherish the dead, because we too, sooner or later, someday far or near, will be summoned. We must make extraordinary preparations while alive, not to be panicked when the time comes. So this is basically what death education says, but he was not dealing with death education. And let's read something that Kazuo Ono says to his students during a workshop. Unlike everyday speech, dance has the potential to release us from the chains of language and its specific meanings. And yet, at the same time, it's as volatile as either. The essential thing in dance is that it hunts and clings to your body in the same way that your lifelong experience has. Does that gesture tell us something about a wound you once suffered? Or is it perhaps the spontaneous outburst of pain surging forth? The human organism rejects poisonous, our foreign matter, by first attacking and then excreting it in the form of pus. The sufferings of others have been engraved in us without our ever fully realizing it. Let me put it this way. We survived only because others died in your place, in our place. And he was participant in the Second World War. We owe our existence to the sacrifices made on our behalf. Don't rest on your laurels. It's utter nonsense to believe that your lives be all and end all. Each and every one of us has gradually evolved through the good grace of the dead. Yes, each and every one of you, novelists, dancers, psychologists, whatever you are alive thanks to the sacrifices others made on your behalf. So, Buto dance, I think it's very interesting as a death education tool. Why? For 5 reasons. Buto is a ritual practice, taking us back to the roots not only of dance, but also of medicine and therapeutic techniques, the original art therapist. Buto is a practice that is accessible to all, open to anyone and keenly interested in movement that deviates from the norm. We study the movement of illness, the movement of the dying people, the movement of shakes, you know, like Parkinson movement. Buto dance is proposed as a cathartic practice and therefore one of liberation from anguish and rediscovery of a deeper connection to one's origins and existence. Buto dance has been a meditatio mortis practice since its origins, since we read. I believe that Buto dance can be a practice that can enable us to experience a glimmer of the dimension of the eternity evoked by the philosopher Emanuele Severino. So, what says philosophy to us? Pain is consciousness of pain, the union of suffering and consciousness, and therefore the way it is configured depends on how we are conscious of it, how we evaluate it, how we see it in relation to our existence. So, it depends on what the sufferer believes he or she is. And how can we relate this to death? We are always thinking of us as mortals. If we believe that we are mortal, but give a different meaning to death, not understanding it as annihilation, but as a moment of transformation to another form of existence, as Buto dance succeeds in making through the use of dancing body in ritual, then our suffering begins to take on a different face. This process of signify death as transitus and not finis, as the capacity of positively retroact on the processing of grief and mourning. And so, how can we go to methodology? We start with mimesis. And so the Buto dancer, through mimesis, which we don't mean merely as imitation of an image, but rather a metamorphosis seen through that image, so giving all ourselves in making the mimesis, learns that it's not possible to draw a clear line between the world of the living and the world of the dead. By directly experiencing the metamorphic capacity of the nikutai, so our body of the flesh, The dancer accesses to memories that lead us to connect with the dimension of the sacred. And mimesis starts from Aristotle Poetica, the Poetics of Aristotle. And it's very interesting what he wrote, because he said that that mimesis connects us to the ability of artists of make art, not only if you are artist, but as you are a child and you pretend to be, for example, a dragon, or when you pretend to be a fairy, and you involve all your body in that mimesis, and you go through it. But it's very interesting because Aristotle tells us that mimesis it's important for catharsis through tragedy. So it's very important we can go through and experience unpleasant things, unpleasant events through it, and we feel relief, experience them through mimesis. So the power of mimesis, it's at the center, that's me performing. And this is the power of mimesis, it's important for us because it can bring us to inhabit not only our body, but also other bodies, experiencing new world, different worlds. And so that's why yesterday I told you about my methodology, the alchemical body. We have a lot of layers inside of us, and I will tell you about the physical body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the remote body. With dance we can integrate all these layers and live more lives. So we can actually use mimesis for death education, but let's go to focus on methodology. So Buto dance, it's about Buto Fu. Buto Fu, it's like this image we give when we lead a workshop. And the image is not just, you can also not follow the image we give and be free to explore other images. So Buto Fu is just like a first invitation to dance, but with that we can be free to work. And this is an image of one of my workshops in 2018, and you can see that with the same Buto Fu, people react very differently. So there is someone that goes to the ground, someone that starts dancing, and you can follow or not follow the music. So this is very interesting to experience also from the outside, not only in the inside. And so I tried to put down a methodology for a Buto dance therapy and the organization of a workshop. Next slides. So this. So the organization of a workshop starts with a dance therapy plan. That is a document we can also give to institutions, so it's very important to do it. And then there is the dance session and the reporting. We will focus now on dance session, that is the next slide. And each dance session is based on 3 moments. It can be 45 minutes until 2 hours, one session. Not less, no more, because it's too heavy. But it needs time to go deep. So the first part is a poetic introduction. The second part is the metamorphic journey, and it's actually the dancing part. And after that, restitution. And we will focus now only on metamorphic journey, that is based on Buto Fu and on the exercise through mimesis. So the metamorphic journey is the central part of the dance therapy session. It can last from 3/4 of an hour to a maximum of 1.5 hours or 2 hours, depending on the group. When the group has a lot of work, because this is a layers work, so we start simple and you go adding layers. And so we need more time with the group with a lot of experiences, because they need more time to go deeper and to come outside of the situation. The metamorphic journey consists of a journey in stages during which the voice of the dance therapist accompanies the participants in the experiencing of Butofu. The dance therapist Butofu canvas will include within it moments of climax and moments of relaxation. Tendentially, the first session will design to be very fluid to facilitate participants' confidence with the proposed journey. Over time, if possible, disturbing experiences typical of Buto dance will be added. So, for example, giving extraction of a slow movement and putting music very fast. So, let's focus on the first exercise I presented you yesterday. It's called Zero Walk, and this is basic. Yesterday we experienced a full layers experience of Zero Walk, but usually we start from a very simpler Zero Walk, because the first steps of Zero Walk is learn to how to disappear. Dance starts from disappearing. So we start our steps, and each of our steps is losing memories, losing our name, losing our face, losing our day. And we will start walking in this black lake, and we will start adding layers. Yesterday we experienced 4 layers, so remember the eye behind your back, the eye in front of you, the eye in the center of the earth, and the eye on your star, and the 3 basic questions I give. So where is your breath? Where is your voice? What color is your star today? This is basics. And yesterday we compressed, but usually we need 4 or 5 workshops to get the complete layers exercise. And it's a walk that is very profound, so we go to a deep meditation state. And the other exercise is the way of the flower. And during the way of the flower, we experience this exercise usually not at the end of a session, multiple sessions. So we can use this exercise as a conclusion of a long path. And let's imagine that you met these people during some workshops, and you start in a quite large space. You start keep eye contact with a partner, and each of your step getting closer to your partner, it's 10 years of life together. So if you are in a big space, you keep accumulating 10 and 20 and 30 years of life together, hundreds of years together. And when you go closer, you start die together, and you go to the ground. When you are to the ground, always keeping eye contact, you die, and after that, you feel you become a seed, and then you come alive back as a flower. And you start again doing another exercise, keeping eye contact with another partner. This usually lasts 20 minutes. 20 minutes, also half an hour. During this period of time, you can meet 2 or 3 partners, because it's very slow, very slow. This is a very powerful experience we can use to signify the eternal circulation of life. So, some final considerations. Buto dance invites us to dance the sick body, the dying body, the deformed body. It urges us to be critical on the prevailing chase after the best performance. It urges us to draw on the experience of the numinous. It invites us not to retreat into the ivory tower of artist or philosopher, but to live the ritual as a cathartic moment, not exclusive of the individual, but to the community. It helps us rediscover the figure of the shaman, the original art therapist. So, my conclusion, the other slide. When we give a name to death, we draw its face, draw its boundaries, and attempt to grasp its fundamental features, giving it a place within a horizon of meaning. Making sense of an event means preparing to face it. Facing an experience of death through dance, then, helps us to have patterns of behavior that we can draw on in times of difficulty. Making sense of death and dying through Buto dance provides us with extra tools so that we are not unprepared when faced with our own death or the death of a loved one. I experienced it. On the other hand, pushing away the thought of death, forgetting reflection on death, allowing tales of death to fade, and bleeding out the rites of passage of dying are events that expose us to the annihilation of our ability to deal with the pain of mourning. Therefore, it is necessary to promote death education exercise, such as Buto dance therapy. However, this proposal may even prove disturbing in our contemporary world, which in Italy even goes so far as to be scandalized when it hears talk of death education. But causing a scandal, we have seen, is a mission for Buto dance, which wants to provoke from its very first performances. So, one last provocation that comes from the philosophy of eternity. We always used to think about death, about dance, as a form of transformation. But what if even of our gestures are eternal? If every gesture is eternal, it is impossible for even the most insignificant gesture to be transformed. If dance is eternal, it is impossible for dance to become. Dance cannot tear being away from itself and make it oscillate between being and nothingness. It is a question, then, of illuminating the dance with an unprecedented meaning, letting the dance of the eternal reveal itself at the sunset of dance as will to power. This sunset is not the annihilation of dance as a will to power, but rather its becoming a past. Until this sunset, the dance is in the contrast that constitutes the concrete meaning of the mortal. Thank you. Last one. If you wanted to follow my research, I have a podcast waiting. You can listen to it in Spotify for free. Thank you.
I just had one question. The script that you were narrating while doing the exercise,
Yes.
did you do it spontaneously, or is there a theme, or do you have an outline?
Yeah, it's written here. You can...
Yes, but still you were moving back and forth in your narration. So I just wanted to know, like, how is that done usually? Do you follow a set pattern, or depending on the group?
It depends always on the group and the level. It's very important to make layers, because you have to experience the layers growing up, and it's very important. So each session, the dance therapy plan is a plan of each session, and I write it down with all the layers. So Each session has a title and a subtitle and a description that is very important also for poetic introduction. So you always have a very clear path for each workshop. Yes.
Firstly, I'd like to say thank you. And one of the questions that I always get asked as an art therapist, when I was doing art therapy, was, do you have to be a visual artist to be an art therapist? And I guess my question to you is, the people that you teach in the tutor, that you tutor in the master, do they have to be dancers?
No, because you can, you have to experience the dance, but you can use it because there are some exercises that are very simple. For example, zero walk is very simple also to explain, and also the exercise, the way of the flower, is also very simple to explain. So you don't have to be, but it's important that you have a lot of experience because of experience of dance.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So nice. It's so soothing. It's
Thank you.
really. I listened more to the voice than the content.
Okay.
Just
Sometimes they tell me for the podcast, so I'm like doing a meditation with your voice, and I don't hear anymore what you are saying.
yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think it was just the voice, but the way written as well. All sounded like poetry.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Thank you.
That's why I read, because I am Italian mother tongue. So when I speak Italian, you can feel this poetic I have in my own language. But in English, for me, it's more difficult. So I prefer to read.
Yeah. Well, we got it.
Thank you.